In 1955, Ford Motor Company built one of the most spectacular concept cars the world had ever seen. The Lincoln Futura cost a fortune, looked like a spaceship, and stunned audiences everywhere it appeared. But nobody actually wanted to buy it. Ford quietly abandoned the car, sold it off for almost nothing, and nearly forgot it ever existed, until one Hollywood designer turned it into the most famous car in television history. A decade after World War II, American life shifted into high gear. Paychecks grew by nearly a third between 1947 and 1957, and families snapped up new cars with a hunger that had never been seen before. The suburbs exploded outward, each home sprouting a driveway big enough for 2 cars, while the freshly signed Federal Interstate Highway Act promised more than 40,000 miles of smooth, open road. Suddenly, the automobile was not just a way to get from place to place, it was a badge of progress, a rolling billboard for modern living. Automakers saw an opportunity and dove headfirst into a wild contest of style. Tail fins stretched higher each year, chrome spread across every surface, and designers raced to outdo one another with each model. By the end of the decade, Cadillac's fins soared to more than 4 feet tall, and parking lots shimmered with reflections from all that polished metal. The press called it a styling arms race, and the public could not get enough. Science fiction pulps and early space race headlines fed the appetite for the new and the next. Car companies poured money into one-off dream machines, cars that looked more like rocket ships than anything on the road. These concept cars were not built for practicality, they were built for spectacle, meant to dazzle crowds at auto shows and prove which company could imagine the boldest future. In this climate, Ford's Lincoln division faced a simple challenge. If you wanted to be seen as a leader, you had to build a car that could stop traffic just by existing. That is how the stage was set for the Lincoln Futura, a machine designed to outshine every rival, no matter the cost. Bill Schmidt didn't just want another show car, he wanted a rolling vision of tomorrow. As Lincoln Mercury's design chief, Schmidt sent out a design memo in early 1955 that called for a luxury coupe unlike anything on the road, high speed, high visibility, and unapologetically futuristic. His sketches captured a wild blend of jet-age dreams and luxury ambitions, with a double-bubble plexiglass canopy and tail fins that seemed to launch straight from the drawing board into orbit. The design was so radical that Ford's own workshops couldn't handle it. Building the Futura meant sending the plans across the Atlantic to Carrozzeria Ghia in Turin, Italy, a coach builder renowned for turning impossible ideas into metal. Ghia's artisans took Schmidt's sketches and sculpted them into reality, one hand-formed aluminum panel at a time. The process wasn't just labor-intensive, it was almost theatrical. Each curve, each fin, each canopy bubble was shaped by craftsmen who treated the car less like a machine and more like a piece of sculpture. Underneath, Ghia used a 1953 Lincoln prototype chassis, shipped over at a cost of $17,000, more than the price of a new luxury car at the time. The final bill for the Futura's construction soared to $250,000, a sum that could have bought 40 standard Lincolns. Every dollar was poured into details, like magnesium brackets to lighten the fins, custom molded plexiglass, and pearlescent paint that shimmered like fish scales under the lights. By September 1955, the finished car was ready to ship back to Dearborn, a 4-wheeled fantasy that looked less like a product and more like a promise from the future. But even as the Futura dazzled on arrival, its price tag and complexity hinted at a problem no amount of chrome could hide. This was a car too rare and too expensive for any showroom. The Lincoln Futura didn't just look futuristic, it made every other car on the road seem stuck in the past. Its body stretched nearly 19 feet from nose to tail, But what truly set it apart were the twin plexiglass domes arching over the cockpit. These weren't mere windows, they were transparent bubbles, molded to mimic the canopy of a jet fighter. Sunlight poured through the clear plastic, flooding the white leather interior and turning heads wherever the car rolled. The effect was less like stepping into a car and more like climbing into a spaceship, sealed off from the ordinary world. From the front, the Futura's nose swept forward in a dramatic V, flanked by sculpted fenders that looked as if they'd been shaped by the wind itself. The bodywork shimmered with a pearlescent paint finish, thousands of crushed fish scales suspended in lacquer, catching the light in a way that made the car glow even in shadow. Along the sides, a pair of sharp fins canted outward, rising like the tail surfaces of a rocket about to launch. Every line and surface seemed to defy gravity, as if the Futura might take flight at any moment. Inside, push-button controls replaced the old-fashioned gear lever, and the dashboard curved around the driver like the console of a space capsule. Even the smallest details, magnesium brackets holding the fins, custom badges, hidden seams, spoke to a level of craftsmanship usually reserved for art, not automobiles. The result was a machine that didn't just hint at the future, it announced it with a flourish, daring the public to imagine a world where cars had finally broken free from the past. The Futura's arrival on the auto show circuit unleashed a spectacle that few cars before or since could rival. Crowds surged around it at the Chicago Auto Show in January 1955, drawn by the promise of a machine straight out of tomorrow. The lines stretched deep and cameras flashed as journalists jostled for a closer look. Within weeks, the car became a headline magnet. NBC's Today Show devoted part of its March 3rd broadcast to a live walk-around, a presenter marveling at push-button controls and the canopy's shimmering glow. Newspapers and magazines raced to capture the phenomenon. Life magazine ran a full-color spread in June, calling the Futura a dream car for the atomic age. Public fascination only grew as the car swept into New York, where it dominated press coverage and generated a steady buzz on the show floor. Even movie producers took notice. In 1959, the Futura slipped onto the silver screen with a cameo in the romantic comedy It Started with a Kiss. For a brief moment, the Futura was everywhere, on newsstands, in living rooms, and flickering across theater screens. It was more than a car. It was a promise that the future had arrived, and everyone wanted to see it up close. Under the glare of auto show spotlights, the Futura looked unstoppable. But away from the crowds, Ford's engineers faced a reality that no amount of chrome or pearlescent paint could disguise. The double-bubble plexiglass canopy, so striking in photographs, trapped heat like a greenhouse. On sunny days, the cabin temperature soared past 40 degrees Celsius, well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, turning every ride into a sweat-soaked ordeal. Visibility was another headache. The curved domes distorted sightlines and cast reflections that made nighttime driving a guessing game. Even the push-button controls, hailed as futuristic, proved fussy and unreliable in practice. Maintenance brought its own set of nightmares. Each aluminum panel was hand-formed by Ghia's artisans. If a fender or fin was damaged, there was no replacement waiting in a parts warehouse. Repairs meant shipping the car back across the Atlantic or fabricating a new panel from scratch, an expense that made even Ford's accountants wince. Then there was the price gap. A showroom Lincoln cost around $6,000, but the Futura's one-off build had swallowed $250,000. Any attempt to mass-produce it would have sent the retail sticker into the stratosphere, far beyond what even the most adventurous buyers would pay. In the end, the Futura was a masterpiece with nowhere to go, a vision too bold, too costly, and too impractical to ever make sense as a product. In 1965, the Lincoln Futura sat gathering dust in Ford's storage, its glory days as a showpiece long past. What happened next could only have happened in Hollywood. Ford's public relations team, eager to offload a costly relic, signed over the Futura to customizer George Barris for the price of a single dollar. The paperwork was almost comical. A $250,000 dream car handed off for the cost of a cup of coffee. For Barris, it was an opportunity wrapped in sheet metal and lost potential. A BC's new Batman series needed a hero car, and the deadline was brutal. Just a few weeks to deliver something wild enough to stand out on television, with a budget barely stretching to $6,000. Barris, already known for his flair and speed, saw the Futura's outlandish lines as the perfect starting point. He kept the twin bubble canopy and the dramatic fins, but transformed the color from pearlescent white to jet black, tracing the contours with bold red pinstripes. The nose became a stylized bat, the headlights exaggerated, and the cockpit stripped down to a crime-fighting command center. Some of the gadgets were little more than clever props, but the silhouette, part rocket, part predator, remained unmistakable. By January 1966, the Batmobile rolled onto television screens in the show's debut episode, stealing scenes and cementing its place in pop culture. The car that nobody could buy was suddenly everywhere, racing through chase scenes and lighting up imaginations. What began as an unsellable fantasy became the most famous car on TV, all thanks to a $1 deal and a little Hollywood magic. Today, the Futura endures, not as a luxury car, but as a pop culture legend. Its wild beauty and impossible ambition made it unfit for the road, yet perfect for fantasy. Sometimes, failure writes a more lasting legacy than success. What dream will we abandon next, only to see it reborn?